Ladies, this is just an episode just for ladies. So if you're a gentleman, please don't just get out of here. We don't want you here. Okay? I'm just doing this read for the ladies. Did you know car possession is on the rise? Do you know you have every right to stop a repo guy from taking your car? And it's repo guy. It's not repo girl. It's repo guy. Consumers have broad rights to stop a car repossession from happening, and that is where the law firm at Sue the Collector can help you. If your car is about to be repossessed, less attitude next time. If your car is about to be repossessed or your car was repossessed and you verbally told them to stop and leave your car alone, were physically hurt or injured by the repo agent, or they took the wrong car altogether, you may have a case. The attorneys at Sue the Collector specialize in wrongful car repossession and can help you or your loved one. The attorneys at Sue the Collector specialize in wrongful car repossessions and can help you or your loved one. If you or your loved one were injured, lost valuables, or wrongfully had your car repossessed, call us now. 1-877-BAD-REPO. I repeat, 1-877-BAD-REPO. 1-877-BAD-REPO. It says repeat 3 times. 1-877-BAD-REPO. Speaking of I would say good Reno.
Good Reno.
Good Reno. Reno Collier.
Hey, buddy.
Back in the pocket here at Zanies, Nashville, for another episode of Common Pinata. Good to see you, buddy.
Good to see you too, man.
You were just on the road. Where were you? The charity golf
tournament.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, it was great, man. It's for a soldier's child. You're playing next year, by the way.
I never got the email, just so you know.
Dude,
I swear to God.
Look, I'm
telling you right now. You go check your spam. I didn't get anything, and I checked.
I believe you. But next year you're freaking playing.
Check,
okay? Then why would you text me to go, hey, is it today, if you didn't know when it was?
Well, no, because I never got any hard details. I never got anything.
Dude, I'm just
I
playing.
didn't get the time. I didn't get
It's
the
all
location.
good. The kids just won't eat. It's okay. I hope you had a good time. No, I'm kidding, dude. It's a soldierschild.org, and what we do is we raise like $160,000 at the golf tournament this year, which is one of the highest.
Good, yeah.
It is the highest. But what we do is any child that's lost a parent in the military, whether it be overseas or in a lot of cases have come back home and had difficulty, we put on a birthday party for them through their 18th birthday in honor of their parent.
Oh, that's nice.
And then we have summer camps, and the summer camps now, we've been doing it for 14 years, so a lot of the kids that started out in our camps are now counselors. Mm-hmm. So these kids who have been through horrific stuff, man, can go be with other people where they don't feel. Some kid sitting in his classroom is looking around going, nobody understands what I'm going through.
Sure.
And like so many other instances too, but in this one. So we try to give them a place to be around kids. We had a songwriter camp where country singers came in and they wrote songs about what they were going through, and then they got to perform them and record them. And so it's a soldierschild.org if anybody is interested in, and not even just to donate or anything, but if you know someone that could use our services, we're there.
I think that's a great cause. Thank you for your contributions to that. And I also I started one called a Comics Child, where comics that are children that are the benefit of a one-night stand don't know who their father is.
Right.
And they celebrate a birthday with an Applebee's waitress or Hooters waitress constantly by themselves. So I raise money for them to have a McDonald's birthday party. And
Smaller organization, just your friends.
I don't brag. I don't get it out there, but that's just what I do.
Yeah.
But that's cool that you do it for the troops. But
Yeah.
I kind of keep it in-house for the community.
Yeah. What's the website for that?
It's
secret. I don't like to talk about it.
I get embarrassed when I talk about the good deeds I do for everybody. Yeah.
And it ruins it when you talk about all the good stuff you do. You know what I mean?
Braggadocious, yeah. Well, we certainly do know comics that are braggadocious.
Yeah.
But I'm not one of them, and nor are you. So
let's watch ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just on the road with Joe Gatto from Practical Jokers. The guy is, I'm telling you, one of the funniest human beings. We go anywhere, and he's constantly fucking with people.
He's hilarious. And when I saw him here, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I saw him here, he'd been doing stand-up like 6 months.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And he did an hour and just crushed.
And you're just like, how is this But then you know that he's just naturally, he loves going to outlet malls and buying something that he can throw away after he's done wearing it on stage. So he, he'll rip buttons off a shirt. He doesn't give a shit. Throw a shirt out. But we were in a store, and there was this like 6'2" Chinese man to his right at the 50% off rack, right? And the guy's standing right where you are, and Joe would take something off the rack. He doesn't have any interest in it. He just takes it off and puts it up like that, right by the guy's face, like he's examining it, and he's looking. So the guy's like, "What the fuck?" Now, keep in mind, Joe's doing this for himself.
Right.
I'm on the other side of the store, and I'm watching this, and I'm like, "What the fuck is he doing?" Like, there's no audience, and he's still just doing it. We were leaving the. The guy ended up leaving, okay? And Joe then left. Then the Chinese guy went back to the clearance rack, and Joe went back over, grabbed another shirt off the rack, and went like that again. The guy's like, God damn, what is this dude's issue? But then we're leaving the budget car rental place. What we get as Joe's pulling up, the security gates, you got to show your ID. He now all of a sudden pretends he doesn't know how to drive. So he's pumping and braking. Where do I go? There's one green light. So that's the only booth. They're like, right here. It's right here, sir. Just keep going. They're intolerant already. Joe pulls up, and he stops like 3 feet away and puts his hand out. They're like, sir, keep coming up. So he's like edging up, and then he goes past them, right to the very edge, and now he's putting his ID back like this. The guy is fucking furious. So Joe's giving him a hard time just for like funnies. I'm in the back crying, and then they go, okay, you're all clear, sir. And Joe's like, where do I go? They're like, straight. He goes, so I just go, and the arms up. They're like, just go. And Joe starts pumping and braking, pumping. This is going on for like 30 seconds. The dude just goes, go! Just go! And he's just straight-faced the whole time, pretending he has no idea, so committed to the bit. And that is every single place you go. Yeah. Everywhere you go. He walks into a coffee shop, he'll open the door into his foot.
Dude.
And it shatters the welcome sign and stuff, and everybody turns around. Then they see it's Joe Gatto. They go, oh, my God, it's Joe. And then he slams the door and just keeps walking.
I don't know if I can tell this story, but because of the way things are.
No one's listening.
Okay.
Yes, you can
right,
listen.
good.
Yeah.
So people that walk in and act like they're getting hit in the face. I toured with this kid, Kenny Smith, this guy, years ago.
Yeah.
We were co-headlining doing one-nighters for like a month
Yeah.
straight. And, he had one Kid Rock tape, and we were driving each other insane, and we're yelling at each other, and we're fighting. So he'd do the same thing. He'd walk in, the door would hit him. So we go into Wendy's.
Yeah.
And when we go in, he starts acting like there's something wrong with him. He's like, I love Wendy's. And I'm like, Kenny, knock it off, So we go up to the desk or to the counter, and he's like, I want biggie fries and a milkshake and things. And I'm like, Kenny, stop it, right? Well, everyone starts staring at us, and he's like, yeah, okay, biggie. And they put everything on his tray. He turns around and he throws the tray up in the air, and he falls on the ground. He's like, ah! And I'm like, Kenny, get up, you asshole. I'm like, I'm sick of this shit. Well, people think I'm.
When you're yelling, are you yelling at Kenny?
I'm yelling at Kenny.
Are you yelling at Kenny's character?
Well, here's the thing. I'm yelling at Kenny, but they think I'm yelling at somebody with something wrong with him.
Right.
And I'm like, Kenny, get up, you dumbass. And they're like, don't talk to him like that. I'm like, shut up. He's been doing this shit for 3 weeks, and I'm sick of it. And he's like, ah. And I'm like, Kenny, get up. I'm like, you are such a dick. And everyone's looking at me. They're like, don't talk to him like that. I'm like, you shut your mouth. You haven't been in the car with this guy.
Yeah.
They think that I'm losing it on somebody
who's individual,
yeah, whatever you're supposed to call it. And so I storm out, and I walk out, and I get in the car. I'm like, damn, and people are looking out the window at me. People are giving me the finger, and I'm like, what is wrong with those people? And then I'm like,
oh, Jesus.
They think that I'm losing it. They're believing him.
Yeah, of course.
Dude, I wanted to kill him. He got in the car, and it took about an hour before I would start laughing about it because I was so sick of him. I mean, dude, there was Frosty all over the floor. There was ketchup and mud.
But for anybody to take food and just chuck it,
and there's people everywhere, and he just turns around and he goes, yeah! And he throws it up in the air. It comes down and smashes. Oh, my God.
I was in a hotel with Joe, and I got pistachio, saffron ice cream sandwiches. I was like, I don't care. It's 2 a.m. I'm hungry. That looks good. I love pistachio ice cream. I get it. I buy him one. They're $6 a piece. I'm like, okay, I don't get. He takes it. He takes one bite. He goes, he looks at me. He goes, this is fucking disgusting. And he just took it and he fucking, like an opening pitch, chucked it. And it hit me right in the chest. I'm like, what the fuck, dude? But by the way, this is when the elevator doors are closing.
Right.
So we were on different floors. There was one, you have to put your floor in. So A, B, or C, you're designated. So as the door is shutting, he goes, this is fucking disgusting. He threw it at me. As the door is, it's perfect timing. Just hit me and you can do nothing but laugh.
Dude, that's smacking. Josh Wolf and I used to, when we both were opening for Cable Guy, there's this thing, and we used to do it when we were kids too. When someone's about to take a bite of something, you smack it and knock it out of their hand. Yeah. And it was a Halloween. We were in Austin, Texas, and the merch guy had been in line for a piece of pizza for like an hour. Like it was so, and he's hammered. And he's like this, and he finally, we catch back up, and Josh comes over, and he gets his pizza. He's about to take his first bite. Josh, smack it. Dude, he was so drunk, he was almost in tears. He's like, I've been in line for an hour, and we're like,
Nothing funnier. When I first passed to the Comedy Cellar, Joe's Pizza's around the corner, and Joe's is the best pizza in New York City, without a doubt. And it's where Spider-Man delivered pizzas from, the Tobey Maguire ones. Yeah. So that's how everybody knows it. So you would walk over from Joe's, and every time, you'd just be about to take a bite, and Jim Florentine or Norton or Bobby Kelly or Rich Voss would just come up and smack it. It's not smacking it down, it's smacking it up. So you'd have to watch it like up in the air, like, fuck.
It's like in slow motion.
Yeah. So it's not straight down, so you don't have time to react. It was always up in the you're like, motherfucker.
And New York, you're not eating it after it hits the...
No, fuck, it's done. It's done. And then you're going back over across the street to get another one. All right, let's get into this. Here we go. Comedy Pinata. I have no idea what's going on with us. We've got to thank our producer, Taylor. Taylor still made it here today. Car accident, dealing with a lot of stuff, so we really appreciate it, buddy. All right, here is number one. Last episode we did sketch comedy, which was a lot of fun. Never done that before, so what do we have in store today? Here we go. Rory Scovel. Okay, Rory will be, I believe, in Nashville at the at Zanies very shortly. A favorite on Conan when Conan was on the air. Very eccentric. Do you know much about Rory?
I do not.
No? Okay. Let's just watch him. He's great. Very funny guy.
Can you imagine the confidence you have to live in a small town and leave a Yelp review? Somebody knocks on your door that night. Hey, Mike, did you write this? Did you write this? Jesus Christ, dude. I told you I'm doing the best I can with the last of my dad's money. The other day, I started crying. I don't cry in front of people, Mike. You said the service was shit. Your goddamn sister waited on you. I had to fire her tonight, Mike. I had to fire my wife tonight. Couldn't have like a small town Batman. You're just walking home one night, you're like, oh shit, there goes Batman. Doesn't he kind of run like Jason? Jason! Did you see that? Jason! 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 Are you Batman? If you're Batman, no one fucking gives a shit. If you're Batman, all right? Cause you're fucking walking to Jason's house. Get a van or something, dude. Jesus. Trying to figure out what to get out of here on. Prayer.
It's great.
It's funny.
Yeah. It's just classic setup, twist, It's great.
It's funny though.
Very funny, and just him too. I like Rory a lot. He's got I know he's just a very comfortable cadence on stage, but it's like classic joke telling. right there.
He reminds me if Nate Bargatze had a couple shots before he went out. You know what I mean?
Like 10 years ago, Nate?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like just kind of, but hysterical. I thought he was hilarious.
It's like Nate, but fun.
No. Nate's really fun, but you know what I mean? Like he just seems like he's a little, they look a little bit similar, but they have the same style of pacing maybe.
Nate's
There's
dry.
something. Yeah.
Nate's just a dry delivery artist. He's comfortable in the pocket. He's not going to move.
Yeah.
He's not physical. He's not animated. His delivery is dry. His facial expressions are not off the. He's just in the pocket. He's comfortable. Rory, yeah, I agree. Rory's kind of in the same vein, but a little more animated.
I don't mean they're the same. You know what I mean? Like they're just kind of. He's got a little edge to him, a little more of a comedy club. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah, a white guy that'll have some drugs every now and then.
Right.
Yeah.
But really funny. I'd never
Very
seen
funny,
him before.
Rory's great, and Rory will be here at Zanies Nashville. I think in 2 weeks or something like that, or a week by the time this airs. So I love Rory. Rory also somebody that acted quite a bit. He's been in a bunch of features and television. I initially met him at I believe at Upfronts for something, and he was on a show, and I was on a show at the time. But great guy, very funny dude.
Yeah.
Like him a lot. Here we go. Drew Lynch. I think Drew just had an hour special come out. Is that right? On HBO or something? Could I be wrong? I don't know. Drew Lynch makes the rounds in L.A. I believe Gary Cannon did the warm-up for him. I've heard nothing but good things. I've never seen him live.
I haven't either.
I think he moved. I think he started doing the improv when I moved out of L.A. So let's watch some Drew Lynch here. Here we go.
I saw the Jeffrey Dahmer. Do you guys watch that? The Jeffrey Dahmer Netflix. I watched that. Man, that's the longest Bud Light commercial I ever saw, dude. Man. Jeffrey Dahmer, I didn't know anything about him. And yeah, I mean, he was a serial killer and he was a cannibal. But mostly he was an alcoholic. You know, I think if he had just curbed the alcohol issue, all the other stuff wouldn't have happened. You know, we've all been there where you got into a certain level of fucked up and then nothing is open. You know what I'm saying? You know how early restaurants in Wisconsin close? That's a trick question. They don't have restaurants in Wisconsin. It's just breweries with bowls of nuts. I'm just saying, after a certain number of drinks, you can't get any food. You start getting a little creative. I think we all have our limits, and I think Jeffrey went way too far with this. Like my limit is like 4 drinks. And I have like 4 drinks, and then I'm like, I need pizza now. 5 drinks, I'm like, all right, I got a bagel and mayonnaise at home. Six drinks, I'm like, what flavor is your chapstick? Into your pockets right now. What's your heritage? People would be like, Drew, that doesn't mean that you can eat people. People aren't food. I'm like, neither is Taco Bell, but that doesn't stop us. I knew Jeffrey Dahmer was a serial killer before even seeing him kill anyone because he didn't move his legs when he danced. That's a surefire sign that someone's a f***ing killer when they go. You know, when they're like trying to dodge their reflection. You know, like demons in hell are trying to pull him down. That's not even just like... That's how bad white people are at dancing. I don't even blame the dudes that went home with them. They're like, no, that's just a white guy out there. It's not a serial killer at all.
All right. What do you think of Drew?
Well,
It was good.
it was good. It's weird because I've been around long enough to heard the Jeffrey Dahmer stuff
Sure.
when it happened.
Right, yeah.
Now it's like people are regurgitating material but it's new to him.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's a kid. He wasn't around. But the Jeffrey Dahmer stuff to me is like, I get, I know.
Yeah.
I know. It's like if Lorena Bobbitt, they did a thing about her and everybody's talking about chopping somebody's wiener off and throwing it out the window. It's
You've
like
heard
I've heard all of it.
And it's not a knock against him. Yeah.
And not a knock
mean,
against him at all.
Yeah.
It's more of a, I'm too old. Like, I didn't think I'd live this long.
I was thinking kind of the same thing, to be honest with you. But it's very sound. It's like, it's all there. It's, these are his observations. I like the Bud Light. I like the alcoholism angle that he, I wish he had, as I'm listening to it, I'm like, oh, you could structure it this way. I'm thinking of how I would do it. But I've never seen the thing. I didn't see the special or the series that he's talking about. But yeah, I thought that was a very funny way of putting it in terms of tiering out alcoholism first, then murderer, then cannibal, or whatever. That was pretty
blaming
funny.
it on everything except for
Yeah. And then the progression of eating after a late night out. That was very funny
was
to me
good,
too.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, it's like I think sometimes when people watch comics, watching this, I'm sitting there going, "Oh, that's funny." That's funny, but I'm not like the audience, right? Because we were just so numb to like hearing. It's been 25 years of just jokes, right? So it's not an insult by any means when I'm not laughing. I'm just sitting there going, "That's very funny." I really enjoyed. I enjoyed that tangent and observation of his with that the chapstick. What flavor is it? Great line.
I did too. And also, that thing hasn't been out that long.
Yeah.
So he hasn't polished this. He just put that together.
That was my other. Yeah. Sorry.
So it's just topical things like that. I mean, I think it's great when somebody can. I mean, that bit's not done. If he had 2 more months to really beat the life out of it, you know what I mean? It would probably be tighter. And
by the time he gets that bit polished and finished, it'll be irrelevant.
Yeah. Right.
Because content moves so quick. Because that's what everybody's talking about, right? So he's on the road. He's watching this thing. I get it. But that was the one thing I was like, man, that show just came out, and this is obviously a new bit. But yeah, he was like, okay, so he's still flushing it out.
Most Jeffrey Dahmer bits eat it.
Hello,
Sorry.
there he is. He can't. Don't leave me. Yeah, I was up here. I was. Fuck. Reno,
As my dad used to say, just because you can say something doesn't mean you have to say something.
That should be the next name of my next hour.
Yeah.
Chad Daniels. Here
Love
we go.
him.
Chad Daniels is a name. When I started doing the road, I would hear his name all the time and see him up everywhere. And it's just, I know he's still working, obviously, but I just don't see him as much as I used to. It's not a knock. I don't know. It was always so prevalent anywhere I went. I don't know. Do you know him as?
I don't know him hardly at all, but I do know that he's doing like offset things.
Okay.
Like a lot of guys aren't doing clubs that much anymore. They'll go and get their own venue and do their own thing. And I think that's what he's doing because he's got a big following. I believe serious. I mean, all those guys play him a ton.
Yeah, people like Chad Daniels, Dan Cummins, for example.
Dan Cummins is a great comedian.
Great comic, super nice guy.
Yeah.
And just somebody who I know has carved out his own little niche of success.
Yeah.
Right? You have the East Coast crew of podcasters. You have Shane and Chris DiStefano and Sal Vulcano and, Mark Norman and Sam Morrell. Then you got the West Coast, right? You got your Whitneys and Berts and then you got your Austin crew. And then you have the anointment from the industry of Netflix, who they're going to prop up. And then you have people that just did it on their own.
Yeah.
That just did it without the umbrella of a city hub, like Rogan down. Think of Rogan and the umbrella under which he casts, and then the East Coast umbrella which they cast, and then you go to, again, just people like this that just say, "Fuck it, I'm not gonna play the game. I'll play my own game."
Yeah.
And so I think that's like this day and age in comedy, when you're playing your own game, there are limitations to that, right? Because you can hit a certain peak, I think, but I think all have pluses and minuses. But I think that when you're just doing it on your own, it's a tougher road. But then everything, when you clean your winnings, it's all for you.
Right.
So I have a lot of respect for people that are doing it that way, because I'm still trying to do it the old traditional way. I think at times trying to sell things or write things or whatever. So let's watch some Chad Daniels here.
I've ruined my body by eating a mass-produced snack cake. That's the decision I've made. But they're amazing. They're so good, and some of you might be thinking, I love Little Debbie zebra cakes. Not what I said. You can shove the cakes up your ass. Figuratively, of course, because they're hexagons. Can't shove a hexagon up your ass, and if you can, you're doing Kegels wrong. In my opinion, Little Debbie zebra cakes, it's not enough cake and it's way too much frosting. And the frosting is plasticky, so it gums up on the roof of your mouth, and you have to try to scrape it off with the back of your tongue. And that makes you look like an idiot, because that's how they made animals talk in the movies. Where's your mom? We'll find her. But what Little Debbie has done is she's taken this cake, which is a great idea in theory, and she's turned it into a roll. She's streamlined it to the perfect ratio of both cake and frosting. I'm gonna tell you something. I don't know if Little Debbie's a real person or not, but if she is, she's a cunt. It's a tough word to say when you're at half capacity already. Because I know I'm going to lose people when I say that word. And by people, I mean white ladies, and that's fine. And also men sitting next to white ladies that now have a don't you dare laugh pinch mark on their inner thigh, right? It's like, I'm sorry. I know you told me before we left. I'm sorry. People don't like that word. People want to get rid of that word, and they are, of course, cunts. Because they want to act all cunty and not have consequences. Here's the deal. We're not born not liking words. You ever called a baby a cunt? I have. Just for this story. I leaned over the crib and I was like, who's a little cunt? Want to know what the baby did? This. Babies don't care what you call them. Their only job is making sure their giant head doesn't snap their tiny neck. That's it.
That's great. I really enjoyed that clip. That was. Here's like the difference between like this is not knocking Drew at all, but you're seeing like a veteran, right? Just doing what he does. And Chad's been doing this a long time, and all the jokes, I'm either going, that's funny, or I'm generally laughing. And the whole cunt run, I thought, when he said, it's a tough word to say, especially when you're at less than half capacity. It's like, exactly, just like, oh, I relate to that. That's so great. Great line. And then just everything. It was just rock solid. There's no fat on any of it. It's all proven bits. And he's fantastic.
Like a fighter. It's like I don't cuss a lot in my act, but stuff I talk about. And I like when somebody goes out on a limb and is like, you're gonna hate half of you are gonna hate this, but for the 30% that laugh their ass off, totally worth it.
And and then he says who's gonna hate it.
Right.
And he's exactly right.
Yeah.
And that goes for any comedy club across the country or anybody that's offended these days is exactly what he described. Yeah, I really like. Have you run into him at all on the road?
Man, not in years.
Yeah.
Not in years. But I hear him, and I always thought he was funny.
Yeah, very funny guy. I don't believe I've ever crossed paths with him, which is odd. Because there's comics, and you know this, Reno, where when you're in New York or L.A., you run into mostly everybody, and then there's comics that just don't play that game.
Yeah.
They just do their own thing, like Bob Marley. That's the name that comes.
They're called heroin addicts.
Yeah. Right, yeah.
No, I'm kidding. Bob Marley's not a heroin addict. But there were guys that you'd never see except they'd come in, do a set, and then that was it. And it was
like Angela Johnson. She's
no idea who that is.
Incredibly successful. She was on Mad TV. She does theaters. She's massive comic. Lived in L.A. I never saw her.
Yeah.
Ever. And I caught up with her one time. She's like, I don't go to the clubs. And I think she was starting to tell me she felt a little insecure in the clubs. And it's just like, you're one of the most successful. How would you feel insecure?
Right.
We should feel insecure around you. I mean, you're crushing it.
Right.
So you never know what somebody's going to be thinking on the other end. I just saw Brendan Schaub. I was in San Jose with Joe Gatto. And Brendan Schaub was down the street at the Improv. I was like, I'm going to go down and just say hey. I'd always run into him at the Comedy Store. And when I was at the Comedy Store at the time, that's when he started getting into stand-up, right? And I'd run into him every now and then. And do you know who Brendan Schaub is? So Schaub and Brian Callen have a podcast together called The Fighter and the Kid. And he's got another one with Chris D'Elia. And he did one with Theo Von, the King and the Sting. So a lot of podcasts come from the world of MMA, doing stand-up because a lot of his friends are in stand-up. So he starts doing stand-up, and he's getting all this flack from the comedy community, from the haters, which there's always that crew, right? Where if you come from another world and you sell tickets, oh, well, fuck that. He didn't earn it.
Right.
It's like, I think the disrespect is totally, the pendulum should swing the other way. For me, I always looked at it the other way. I looked at it the complete opposite way. I'm like, this guy's doing something that's fucking really hard. So I have much more respect for him in the void that you're putting disrespect.
Right.
He's coming from the ultimate, of sports where you're fighting for your life, literally.
Right.
And then you're going to be funny. It's like, it's that old Chris Rock joke. Nobody wants to laugh at somebody that can kick their ass.
Right.
And he's out there and he's doing it. And he's not only doing it, he's at the store all the time, working observing, doing everything. So I'd seen him and I understood why comics could have the daylight to shit on him. Because, we all have that when you're first starting. You don't know what you're doing. You don't know what your voice is, right?
Right.
And he did a special out of the gates that I believe, and I think, I haven't talked to him about it, but he got a special really early, like a year in.
That's tough.
And that is, exactly. I mean, you just nailed it right there. So I think he was judged off of that, but also it's like, look, you're getting a payday. Like, who would turn that down?
Right.
I don't know. If I was 23 and somebody offered me, 6 figures to do an hour special back, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
I'll do that now.
Absolutely.
100%. Every comic would. I don't care who you are. So then I go to San Jose Improv and I watch him. I'm like, holy shit, he's like a comic now.
Right.
He is a comic. Joe Gatto did it in 3 months.
Yeah.
This guy, Brendan Schaub, he did it. It took him a few years, but I saw him. He was on stage. He had presence. He looked comfortable. He had funny tags. He had good premises. And I watched him, and I was like, oh, shit, he's genuinely a comic now.
See, that's what I don't understand when guys get mad. And it's but the guy keeps working at it. That's what we all did. Just because he came out of MMA doesn't mean that he can't be a comedian. The whole part of comedy is everybody having a different voice. I mean, it's supposed to be, but I find most comics that get mad at other comics, you watch them and you go, what are you mad about?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that. I just watched you, and that's kind of that. Like, well, you can't be in here and you can't do this. You see what he did? He did. It's like I had a guy, and this was just a few years ago, complaining that what are the people that come up to your house all the time and knock on the door? Jehovah's Witnesses.
Yeah.
He goes, that other comic did my Jehovah's Witness joke. I'm like, You just said that out loud.
Dude, you might want to get a notebook and a pen.
You just said that out loud. Like, you did my Jehovah's Witness. That sounds like a joke in and of it's like, that's the funniest bit you have. You need to close with, this guy stole my Jehovah's Witness. Yeah.
You know what?
You're
Maybe
brilliant.
this isn't for you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's so, and most of the time it's guys who are miserable and have gotten boxed in a little bit and are still doing, and they still have the same problems with the same people they did before, and they're bitching about somebody else took their joke, but you don't know who that is that took it, and you don't know, it's a weird dynamic.
Well, I think the ultimate test of like understanding the industry we're in is watch when somebody we all know gets something. Right? Gets a role in a TV show or a deal or whatever. People are like, oh, yeah, cool. Like, I think 80% of people are like, when they're driving home, like, man, fuck that guy. I'm so much better. But it's like, I think this industry is so difficult. If you can make a living, if you can carve out your own little niche and you get any success, it's like, good for you. Yeah. It's fucking hard. This is not easy. There's no rules. There's no union. There's no boss. There's no retirement party here in this industry. You come in, it's a revolving door. You come in, have fun at the party, and then get the fuck out. Yeah. And no one's going to give a fuck. There's no Hall of Fame. There's nothing.
No. I mean, look at us. We've been in Christmas classics. You were in 4 Christmases. I was in Jingle All the Way too. You don't see a lot of attitude out of us. We're not just walking around, talking about Santa Claus.
We should show our 30-second clips in the things we've done.
Hey, look, I was in it for about 5 straight minutes.
You were for 5? I was in the opening scene of 4 Christmases. That's it. Yeah.
Dude, I loved seeing you in that. I was like, that's so Steve.
But I remember the girl I was doing it with that was my dance partner. We were being a couple, right? So I had my arm around her, and I was just kind of like this, and she's like, can you not touch me? I was like, oh, okay, sorry. I was just thinking we were a couple. She's like, yeah, don't. And so as the scene went on, we progressively sat further and further away. I remember she got furious at me, too, because a movie, Semi-Pro had just come out, and she was in it, and she was a cheerleader on the poster. And, I think she had 2 lines in the movie. And she's like, oh, I'm in Semi-Pro. I was like, oh, that's awesome. Congrats. I just saw it. She's like, you saw it? I was like, yeah. She's like, and you didn't recognize? I was like, no, I'm sorry. She's like, I'm on the poster. I was like, who the fuck am I working with? This is fucking crazy. That's the city. That's the town we work in.
Yeah.
Fucking
I did
nuts.
get to make out with Jenny McCarthy, though.
Did you really?
Yeah, on Witless Protection. And every time she comes on that show that Ken Jeong's on, where the people pull the masks off, I'm like with my wife. I'm like, and I made out with her. Oh. And my wife's like, "Would you shut up?" It was a joke. It was for the movie, but it was part of a joke. And then somebody asked me, "What does Jim Carrey something taste like?" And I'm like, "All right, forget it. You ruin everything."
There we go. Comics will ruin everything. That's
what
we're
ruin
getting
everything.
To. Comics will ruin everything. But congratulations to Brendan Schaub. I was very, very happy.
And congratulations to that girl who's on the poster of Semi-Pro.
That's right. Yeah, I haven't seen you in anything since.
I tend to see Jenny McCarthy in a lot of stuff.
Yeah, your fucking web browser. All right, here we go. Steve, oh!
Yes.
Look at this handwriting, by the way. That's serial killer handwriting.
That is.
That is.
Did you write
the
that?
Font.
Who wrote
this? This is, see.
Dude, that is a great picture.
Boom!
Look at that, dude.
Look at the kid. Look at the kid. Dressed.
Killing it.
In a suit, casual, got the party shirt on.
The Comedy Store's perfectly set in the back.
This is La Jolla. This got to be 2 years ago because I see my notes out there, and it's God. I hope this is good. I don't know what. Okay, this is what happens when you sit in front. Okay, so this is a crowd work bit. All right, let's see. Here we go.
Miss, this is what happens when you sit in front. It's gonna happen. Watch what happens to these 2 fuckers. Now you're gonna enjoy the show. It's their turn now. That's right. How did you 2 meet? In calculus? Could you lie next time? Anything but that. What the fuck? Calculus? Okay. What, did you pass up the 8 other Asian guys? He seems to to have a pretty good handle on this shit. The calculus. Was this in high school or college or college? Okay, very nice. And what is your profession now, buddy? What do you do?
I'm an air traffic controller.
Air traffic controller. Okay. And how long have you been sober? What do you?
You're the groans.
What do you do, miss? You're a nurse? Very nice. How about for the nurse, everybody? Beautiful stuff. Thank you very much for what you do. You're a first responder, and this last year has been tough for you, and you heard the applause. We all appreciate what you do. Thank you very much. It would have been louder if you were a doctor, but thank you. No, she's a doctor. This place goes fucking bananas, right? It's God. But when you're a nurse, it's like, yeah, thank you. Thank you. Like she wanted to go to school, but not too much school. Like, she did enough to work at the hospital, but you know, she's not a doctor, but she's a nurse, and that's good too. That's good too. Because she'll like, if somebody comes in, they're hurt, she'll apply pressure to the wound until the real pro gets there. She's there to help and do her part, and we love it. So thank you, nurse. And your part's a little further away. You know, the doctor just, wow, right in front, to her park, run in, save the light. She's got a park, like, you know, where the custodians, but a little further away, but it's nice. Yeah. So thank you for what you do. Honestly, thank you. Not a doctor, but thank you for it.
Dude, the best part of that is it's right in the COVID wheelhouse of where everybody's like dancing in the hall. And nurse, our first responders, I think, and then I love that.
Barry.
In a sweet way. Like you didn't. I love the underlying tone of like, that's great. You're a nurse. I mean, you're not real, but you kind of.
But thank you.
Love
but
that. Yeah.
You constantly. I did something recently where this woman is in the front and she told me she's an acupuncturist and this is her assistant, and I was like, what the fuck? And now we're just going down the rabbit hole, and she's telling me that. She's like, I make more than most doctors. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. There's no way an acupuncturist makes more than a doctor. And so we're going down this rabbit hole. This other girl starts sticking up for her because she's taking offense that I'm shitting on this woman. But I'm like, no, she's an acupuncturist saying she makes more than a doctor. And the one line I wish I had on camera was like, get the fuck out of here. Like, have you ever been on an airplane? And somebody's like, quick, is there a doctor on this airplane? And everybody's like, no. It's like, do you have an acupuncturist? I was like, it was one of those things where in the moment I was like, it was just like a great pull.
Yeah.
And that's the line that fucking broke her. And I was like, it's just a matter of safe cracking and finding the line.
I love the stream of consciousness and messing with the crowd.
It's the best.
I love and because it really gives you an insight into the comedian's mind.
Yeah.
More than a prepared bit or a thing I do a little bit of both. Like most of it is my act, but a lot of it's going to the crowd because they're really getting to know you. When you think of something quickly and it comes out of your mouth, you didn't have time to, soak it in and go, is this the right thing to say or the wrong thing to say? I mean, it's just diarrhea of the mouth. I love it.
Well, I think, look, you think about it, you watch, I hate deconstructing myself, right? But if the clip's there, if this was anybody else, I'd do the same thing. The clip is, you're shitting on somebody, right? They're taking offense to it. It's like, this is what happens when you sit in front. Now watch what happens to these two. And so you win them back, you go over to these people, and then it's like, how'd you meet calculus, right? You have to have a line.
Right.
Keep talking until you find the line. You pass up the other 18 Asian guys. And then you go to the second part of what do you do now with calculus, air traffic controller. And then the boozing part. And you hear them groan. So they obviously know. So either way, it's like, all right, well, at least I had something that applied directly to that. And then the nurse, it's just like, I'm going to shit on you to high heaven. Because the minute you know the hierarchy, it's like, oh, there's somebody above you. Now I can just dump on you.
Right.
Dump. I remember I was in New York City at the Cellar, and Judah Freelander, who's the world's champion, talked to a guy, and the guy's like, yeah, I do, he's like, what do you do? He's like, I do flooring. He's like, oh, I do ceilings. He just had to fucking, no matter what, he just had to one-up him.
Yeah.
It's so goddamn funny. But yeah, when I do the next Crowdwork show, we should jump on stage together.
I'd love it, dude.
Yeah,
I love
absolutely.
that stuff.
Yeah.
It's
fun.
so much fun.
Well, another episode, Comedy Pinata in the books. Reno, where can they keep up with you?
RenoCollierComedy.com.
And always on the road.
Always on the
Always
road.
on Bob and Tom.
Always on Bob. Every week on Bob and Tom. Sometimes John Boy, Big D and Bubba.
here in Nashville.
I'll go on anything, man. Hell, I'm on this.
Yeah,
saying?
he'll do anything.
I'll
So
do anything.
keep up with me. Tour dates, steveburnlive.com. I'll be hitting the road. Pittsburgh, Chicago, Pittsburgh Improv, Chicago Improv. I'll be off to Vegas the week that this comes out at the MGM, Brad Garrett's room. And all over. And then Milwaukee, I'll be doing New Year's Eve. Milwaukee
yeah.
Improv, New Year's Eve, and a bunch of other ones, Brea, Houston, all that good stuff. So, guys, thank you very much for tuning in to another episode of Common Pinata. Taylor, I hope you're okay. I hear you coughing. And and make sure to tune in to Two Cool Moms with Joe Gatto and I, the other podcast I do. So that's it for now. We'll see you guys next episode.
Love it, dude.
Bang.